Welcome to group project number 3. My name's Emily Wojcik.
I'm Jaden Blondie.
I'm Eleanor Henriksen.
I'm Daniel Murphy.
I'm Jiaqi Zhuo.
And we did our project on the film Bros.
Yeah, first I found a newspaper said the movie Bros is a delightful, fresh, new rom-com, and the film's made many small comic touches, almost aside, are just as important as the romance. And there are quick cameo appearance, including one in which Christine appears and fundraiser wearing and the revolving model of the Stonewall in her head. And Bobby's role as head of the new Museum of LGBTQ plus history is at times flat-footed in a way it works in educational tidbits, but also a source of more goofy jokes. Should the museum have an animatronic glory of gay heroes like Disney World's Hall of Presidents? And Bruce raced along almost until the end with embarrassing Rubicon elements, including a montage that Nana is more cliched than subversive, but that doesn't make the rest of charming film any less entertaining and effective. I also found two examples of historical moments about sexual orientation. The first one is the Stonewall Riots of 1969, a pivotal event in LGBTQ plus history in June 1969. The Stonewall in New York City's Greenwich Village was raided by police, leading to a riot that lasts several days. This event, widely considered to be the starting point of the LGBTQ plus movement in the United States and became an important historical moment in the fight of gay rights and social acceptance. A second one is anti-discrimination legislation, which means many countries and territories have passed anti-discrimination law over the past few decades, aimed at protecting the rights of gay people. For example, in 1991, Congress passed Title 14 of the Civil Rights Act, which gave greater legal protections to gender identity and sexual orientation, especially in employment and housing.
And now we're here where not only that gay characters and members of the LGBTQ can be involved in film and cinema and be their own characters. So I have a little section from a scholarly article regarding the basic plot line of all rom-coms using what is it? Never Been Kissed. So, if Never Been Kissed seems formulaic and contrived, that's because it is. Ever since Frank Capra's It Happened One Night lit up the screen in 1934, the charm of Hollywood romantic comedy has never been about complex or original plots. As numerous critics have pointed out, the structure of romantic comedy is fairly predictable. Boy meets girl, and they work through a series of complications and misunderstandings until they are finally joined in marriage or a union presumed to be headed for the altar.
Yeah, so I really like this movie. So when I think that when I went to seek out information on like romantic comedies, I found a lot of the similar things where you talked about how it's formulaic, but this movie I thought had like just the right amount of deviation from that, or like little niches that made it completely different. I have a short excerpt from a book that was published in 2011 called The Hollywood Romantic Comedy by Ledger Grindin. And it says, second, the battle between the sexes establishes the central field of conflict animating romantic comedy. This contest evokes the distinct gender cultures which men and women have been raised. Courting couples must struggle to find common ground upon which to build their union while also establishing sufficient knowledge of and empathy for the opposite or same sex. In this sense, lovers must struggle against the threat of narcissism and seek an identity in difference and attraction in to their opposite in complements that completes the self. And I think like reading that, I was like, that just perfectly encapsulates this movie. I mean, we see two people who are like obviously kind of like an immovable object and an unstoppable force of people who like don't really want to give in to the other and are forced to. And like I said, it's enough deviation from like the typical romantic comedy. I mean, obviously, we're not experiencing a romantic comedy between a guy and a girl, and that already breaks what was originally like a staple of it, and it just progresses it in so many ways, which with like a lot of self-awareness. Like I mentioned talking before this about a specific scene when the two protagonists are talking, and one of them, they're talking about gay movies, and how they're always depicted by straight characters, and they're like, well, it couldn't be depicted by two gay characters, then it's just not even acting. And I thought that was so funny because I had to go and look up like, this is two gay males in the leading roles, and it was, and I just thought that was so funny. Like, I couldn't imagine acting that out and like saying that and being like, it couldn't be two gay males depicting this, then that would break down the whole movie. I don't know. I thought it was funny.
It's very ironic. It's like poking fun at itself. That's really funny.
The Hallmark movies that are like prevalent trying to depict gay characters, but you can tell they're being portrayed by like straight actors. And like the funniest one was like the polycule and the polyamorous relationship, where it's like 10 people and they're like not even embracing each other. They just like have their hands. They're like la la la.
Hall Heart.
It's just so bad. What was it? Was it Hallmark? What was it?
It was like Hall Heart movies.
Oh yeah,
or something.
Hall Heart. Ugh. I really like this movie because like not only does it like break away from like it's no longer straight actors portraying gay characters, like these are gay people in real life and portraying gay characters, like and it doesn't like, oh my god, like depict a gay relationship through like a straight lens. Like this is a gay relationship portrayed as a gay relationship. They're not trying to say like, oh my god, we're the same, like we're just like you.
And they put fun of that, like the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like at the beginning of the movie, like there's a group of people having a discussion, like, well, you know, they really think we're so smart, and really most of us are dumb. And it's like a hilarious self-awareness about like how gay characters were depicted by like straight directors, straight actors, and how like self-aware this movie is that like it's depicting gay characters by gay actors in real life.
That kind of reminds me of like the first line of this review that I read in the Art Views, which reads as, few movies are as painfully self-conscious about their cultural status as bros. And I feel like that like resonates with what you said.
It's very admirable that they're able to like portray a gay relationship as a gay relationship, but still have all these like formulaic, like stereotypical like tropes. Like there's always the person in the relationship that like, oh, I hate my job, I secretly want to go into baking. Like it's always like a muffin shop,
Yeah,
the chocolatier.
the chocolate.
And then there's always like the disastrous like holiday dinner with the family, like that explodes, and like the troubles that like start like bleeding into the workplace, like my business
Right.
about to fail.
Yeah.
And you don't really see that with like, and like gay characters, especially like their ending, like you expect, like most rom-coms with straight people, it ends with a marriage, but in my thing it says that when it comes to gay couples, they have to end it in a different way based on the time period, and how they ended it is like, do you want to be together for 3 months and see where it goes from there?
Yeah.
Someone give me a ring.
Yeah. Someone give me a ring real quick. And they, like, none of them die, none of them are tragic, they're still like funny, they're still together. And that's like, because there's like 3 rules, and I'm going to try to like read them. Must feature white actors. Okay, they failed on that part. Must be portrayed having little or no sexual desire. That's completely wrong. They are
Yeah.
having so much polyamorous
That's like
sex.
the whole like
I love that for this movie. I
Yeah,
love
me
that for this
too.
movie. And then one of them has to die, which thankfully they don't. They just have to play Garth Brooks song, which
Yeah,
I died
right.
a little. But I really appreciated that from this movie.
Yeah, I definitely think it's like a landmark romantic quality because it places like gay relationships at the forefront.
Exactly.
And like from the same book that I was citing earlier, they have a sort of funny chart about like mainstream versus marginal traits in Hollywood rom-coms, and one of them is sex between couple delayed until conclusion is mainstream, and the other is sex plays a conspicuous role in courtship slash relationship, often the source of tension or obstacle. And I think that was like hilarious because like this movie does not care. Like it is so outright with like these two guys sleeping with each other, sleeping with other people, sleeping with other people while sleeping with each other. Like
Yeah, it doesn't hold
it's
back.
it's totally not mainstream, but it follows a funny play on the mainstream formula.
I thought there's a professor from Whatcom Community College, which is like in Washington, I believe, and she said, "I don't see why queer people with more mainstream tastes shouldn't be able to enjoy happy, fun, lightweight romantic stories about ourselves, just like everybody else. Why would you want to limit your people's choice in art and entertainment to just one model?" So I thought that honestly, again, resonates with like the way this film is structured and like how it's like not mainstream, but like in a way it kind of is. Like it's in a more lighthearted and fun and like silly light than like Brokeback Mountain or like any other like popular like male on male films.
Okay. For my academic article, I found one from Claire Moylan where they discussed the romantic comedy as a genre in general. The romantic comedy has proved to be one of the most enduring cinematic genres. It has certainly undergone some ebbs and flows in its popularity, but as with all the major genres, it proves perennially resilient. Audiences still enjoy the blueprint of the romantic comedy with all its traditional ingredients. Every year sees the release of a new romantic comedy, which are strongly in the mode of the earliest examples in cinema history. The archetypal romantic comedy is certainly perceived to be a woman's film, perhaps dismissed by some, often male critics, and lumped into a category labeled chick flick. Of course, this negative perception of the genre is not just to do with its gendered nature, but has been a fate meted out to genre films in the past. And they also included a critic, Peter Bradshaw's, his response to Four Christmases, explaining how Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon each demonstrate the classic Hollywood sitcom face. Waxy as a corpse, dead-eyed with self-loathing, and as smiley and blank as someone who's just consumed their body weight in temazepam and Pernod. I don't know what those are. It has something to do with the way they are lit, or the way they are directed, or with the fact that they have gone into a kind of neuropsychological shutdown. They know in their hearts that what they are performing is pure ordure. So basically, he's saying that the film didn't do the characters justice because, as you know, Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon, they're like classic comedians or like classic actors to use in like comedies or romantic comedies, and like the way that the film was written or directed, it really didn't help their actor. It really didn't help their expertise in those roles that they usually play. So it's saying that some romantic comedies don't do the actors any justice.
It's interesting to see how like rom-coms have evolved in terms of gender roles. Like around when the world wars were happening, like men were going to war and they would depict like women staying at home or like working around the house. And like in response, films came out that portrayed women in like very professional roles, like holding positions in businesses that like formerly like maybe wasn't televised. So there were a lot of films responding to that, like Time for Love, 1943, Lady in the Dark, 1944, like all through the 40s, movies trying to like flip these roles and show like obviously that they're there didn't have to be like some stereotype that embodied all rom-coms, and you see how that's still evolving today.
Yeah. I mean, everyone still loves a good rom-com. Like, just recently for my work, I had to post about When Harry Met Sally, and it, like, blew up compared to all the other films. Like, people, like, rom-coms are beloved, but they will die out if we don't branch away from just stereotypical, like, hetero and just cis relationships, because in all honesty, after a while, they're kind of boring. Like,
Yeah.
right now, like, if someone, like, came out with our one, who cares if it's like the same thing? Because we've been doing this since the 40s of portraying these relationships and trying to do a spin on them. I mean, can we do another 100 years? No. But if we did what this movie did and give a voice to these gay, transsexual, polyamorous relationships for once, they can really take off and be like a new spin on this beloved genre.
I totally agree. And also, I also want to mention that something that I found in the front, one of their statistics was that there is an 11.9, like, since there, in the past, like, couple years, like, from 2021, 11.9% of reoccurring characters in scripted broadcast programming are identified as LGBTQ+. So I think that growth is certainly going to enable people who are either don't identify as LGBTQ+, and who do, to see themselves in more varied and affirming contexts. The rom-com is changing.